Every great journey begins long before you actually turn the key in the ignition. It starts as a quiet whisper in the back of your mind, a sudden, sharp realization that the routine you have built is no longer serving you, your soul, but merely managing your time. We spend so much of our modern existence locked inside rigid structures. We move from the box of our home to the box of our vehicles, only to sit in the box of our workplaces, staring into a small glowing boxes all the day long. We fall into the trap of believing that this predictability is security, that this repetition is living. But deep down, we know better. We feel the friction of routine. When you finally make the decision to pack a bag and step outside and look down a road that leads away from your comfort zone, something shifts. You are executing a quiet rebellion against the clock. Tony Robbins once noted that the only impossible journey is the one you never begin. The hardest part of any adventure is not crossing the finish line, it is having the courage to break the gravitational pull of your daily obligations. It is the willingness to say, for the next few days, my deadlines do not own me. My inbox does not refine me. My schedule does not control me. As you pull away from the curb and watch the familiar grid of your hometown fades away in the rear view mirror, a profound sense of lightness takes over. Philosopher Seneca once wrote that as long as you live, you must keep learning how to live. We forget how to live when everything is perfectly optimized and scheduled. We forget how to look at the world with curiosity. But the open asphalt is a blank state. It does not care about your past achievements, your social status, or your anxieties. It only demands one thing from you, that you pay attention to the present moment. As the speed builds and the wind begins to rush, you can feel the clutter of city over evaporating. Oliver Wendell Holmes famously said that a mind stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. That is the hidden alchemy of travel. It stretches you, it forces you to look out the window instead of down at a screen. It invites you to watch the sky change color, to feel the subtle shift in the topography of the land, and to listen to the steady hypnotic rhythm of tires meeting the road. You are no longer just a passive observer of life. You are you are actively participating in its unfolding. You are finally moving. As the hours pass and miles accumulate, the geography begins to change. The tall concrete structures give way to wide open spaces, dense forests, rolling hills, or a jagged mountain passes. There is an incredible humility in watching the earth expand before your eyes. When you are trapped in a city, your world feels incredibly small, yet your problems feel incredibly large. But when you stand in front of a mountain range that has weathered storms for millions of years, or when you drive along a coastline that has been shaped by a restless rhythm of the sea, your perspective resets. Ralph Waldo Emerson famously urged us to live in the sunshine, swim the sea, and drink the wild air. Out here, you can't help but follow that advice. The air smells different when it has not been filtered through air conditioners and urban smog. It carries the scent of pine, of damp earth, of incoming rain, of dry grasses baking under the midday sun. So, this sensory experience of freedom. John Moyle, the great naturalist, once wrote that in every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. The same truth applies to the drive. You might think you set out just to see the just to see a specific landmark or reach a particular destination. But a road has a way of giving you what you actually need rather than what you thought you wanted. It gives you space. It gives you time. Let your thoughts wander without the constant interruption of notification and alerts. In our everyday lives, we constantly reacting to messages, to demands, to emergencies. But in a driver's seat, looking out at an endless horizon, you are simply reflecting. You begin to notice a subtle details, the way the morning mist clings to the valleys, the way sunlight slices through the canopy of trees, the way road blends and dip as it follows the natural contours of the earth. Lao Tzu once stated that a good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. There is a deep wisdom in learning to love the transit. We live in a world that completely obsessed with destinations. We want the degree, the promotions, the hours, the house, the arriving point. We treat the space between us as a nuisance, an obstacle to be overcome as quickly as possible. But a road trip teaches you that the space in between is where life actually happens. The destination is just a point on a map, a temporary stopping place. The true substance of journey is conversation in the car, the changing light on the dashboard, and the feeling of absolute freedom as you cruise through a landscape that does not know your name, does not care about your titles. The philosophy of detour. The real magic of a roadmap is usually begins when things stop going according to plan. In an age dominated by satellite navigation, algorithmic recommendations, and highly curated travel feeds, we have almost entirely eliminated the element of chance from our lives. We know exactly what a restaurant looks like before we step inside. We know the precise angle of viewpoint before we arrive. But when you are out on the open road, there comes a moment when you see fading, hand painted sign pointings down a arrow gravel track or an unmarked road that curves away into hills and you decide to take it. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote the immortal words: "Not all those who wander are lost." In fact, it is often when we are intentionally wandering that we finally find ourselves. Taking a detour is declaration of independence from the schedule. It is an admission that you value curiosity over efficiency. Robert Frost spoke of road less traveled, noting that it makes all the difference. When you deliberately turns away from the crowded highways and choose a slower, bumpier, and more uncertain path, you are opening yourself up to serendipity. You might find an isolated lake perfectly mirroring the sky, A quiet roadside cafe run by someone with an incredible story to tell, or a vista so pristine and silent that it feels like it was created just for you in that exact moment. So these are the moments that cannot be packed, sold, or accurately captured on a screen. They must be lived. Danny Kaye once remarked that travel is not to take a journey into yourself. When you step off the beaten path, you you quickly learn what you are made of. You learn how to handle a missed turn with grace. You learn to appreciate the beauty of breakdown or a sudden storm that forces you to pull over and just watch the rain lash against the grass. The detour teaches us adaptability. It reminds us the control is an illusion, both on the road and in our personal lives. We spend so much energy trying to orchestrate our future perfectly and building the flawless 5 year plans and bulletproof strategies. But the road, with its unexpected construction zones, sudden weather changes, and beautiful accidental discoveries, remind us that the most vibrant parts of life are almost always unplanned. The moment you will talk about years from now are never the stretches of smooth, straight highways where everything went perfectly. You will remember the flat tires, the spontaneous stops, and the absolute wonder of discovering something completely by accident. Honor de Balzac once remarked that solitude is fine, but you need someone to tell you that solitude is fine. Sharing an epic landscape with a friend or a loved one multiplies its beauty. You don't need to explain why the sunset is beautiful. You both just feel it. But even if you are driving entirely alone, you are never truly isolated. The car becomes a moving sanctuary, a rolling capsule of introspection. Helen Keller beautifully observed that the best and the most beautiful thing in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. When the background noises of your life is completely stripped away and you can finally hear your own internal voice, you can listen to the thoughts you have been too busy to process. You hear the steady hum of the engine, the rhythmic thump of the tires over the expansion joints of the road, and soft whistle of the wind against the mirror. This auditory minimalism allows your mind to enter a state of flow. You look at that vastness of the world, the ancient trees, timeless rocks, and the endless sky, and you realize that you are not an isolated island looking at the nature from outside. You are an intrinsic part of it. Eventually, every road description must come full circle. The fuel tank burns through its reserves, the map shows your location creeping closer to your starting point, and the familiar, predictable landmark of your daily life begins to appear on the horizon. The city skyline rises up to meet you, the traffic grows denser, and the fast paced rhythm of modern society closes back in around your vehicle. It can be easily feel a sense of melancholy in this moment, a feeling that magic is over and that you are simply locking yourself back in the box you worked so hard to escape. But the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously stated that no man ever step in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he is not the same man. When you pull back into your driveway and turn off the engine, you are not the same person who left a few days ago. The road has done its work on you. The highways and the mountains remain exactly where they were, unchanged by your passage, but you have been permanently altered. Marcel Proust wisely noted that the real voyage of discovery consists not in the seeking new landscape, but in having new eyes. That is the ultimate gift of the journey. You return to your home, your work, and your daily responsibilities, but you weave them all though are completely different lenses. The wall of your routine doesn't feel quietly as restrictive anymore because you know now how easily they can be breached. You carry the expansiveness of horizon inside your chest. You remember the stillness of mountain air when your morning meeting gets stressful. You recall the brilliant gold of roadside sunset when the city feels grey and overwhelming. You have collected a treasury of moments, views, and epiphanies that belongs entirely to you, locked safely away from your memory. You look at your everyday life not as a prison of obligation but a temporary staging ground for the next adventure. You understand now that the freedom is not just the destination you have to buy a ticket to, it is a state of mind you can access whenever you choose to step outside and look forward and stretch your boundaries.
तन्हाई में जिसने मुझको जी भर के तड़ पाया था और नहीं था कोई वो तेरी यादों का साया था तेरे सिवा ना कोई था जो साथी हो राहों में जब तू सिमटी मेरी बाहों में सोचा ना था ऐसे हमें तेरा ख्याल आएगा यूं सामने जाने कैसे फिर से नैना भरे समझे थे हम गम खत्म दिल ना माने फिर से नैना भरे समझे थे हम गम खत्म दिल ही ना माने फिर से नैना भरे समझे थे हम गम खत्म दिल ही ना माने फिर से नैना भरे समझे थे हम गम खत्म दिल ही ना माने फिर
ಬೇರೆ ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಕಂಡ್ರ ನಿಮ್ದ